Hey guys, welcome back to a different type of video. This video will make you believe in aliens. Not just aliens in space, but aliens in our solar system.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs. That's what I thought anyway. And then in recent years, it turns out that governments have been taking them seriously all along. Very seriously.
So before I get into this crazy video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. So let's get into this video. December 19th, 2017, the United States released video proof of UFOs existing. So I'm going to show you right now.
Dude, there's a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. That's not our LNS though, is it? It's not. That is the LNS, dude. Well, if there's like... Look at that thing. It's rotating.
This isn't the only video that was released by the government. Here's a similar video of another UFO.
UFOs have captivated the public interest for decades, but they've always been dismissed, including by me, as the province of wackos. But that is changing thanks to some remarkable videotape and first-hand accounts from very sober people who are trained to identify aircraft. And that would include this video. It shows two Navy pilots encountering something bizarre off the east coast of the United States. Watch this.
Nickel 6-1 Tango, small J, Roger. Oh, got it! Woohoo! Roger, there's troubleshooting. Did you box moving target? No, I took an auto track. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Wow.
Okay, these are guys who fly for a living, who know what other airplanes look like, including those maintained by foreign governments, and they're totally shocked by this. This is one among many incidents like it, including many that have happened in the middle of the day to sober people, lots of independent witnesses at the same event, commercial pilots, military pilots, O'Hare Airport in the afternoon. None of them have obvious explanations. These are aircraft, apparently, that are moving in ways that appear to violate physics, that are flying very differently from any aircraft ever observed, and way faster than any plane that we know any foreign country has. What is this?
And there's even another video from the Chilean Navy that was released in 2014 showing a UFO releasing some sort of liquid or gas into our atmosphere.
The CEFAA, the Chilean government agency which investigates UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomenon, has declassified and released never-before-seen video from 2014 showing a mysterious flying object of which they suggest could have been a UFO. According to a press release from the agency, a Navy helicopter spotted the unidentifiable object while patrolling a coastal region near Santiago, Chile. The unknown object was seen flying at a constant speed, similar to that of the helicopter, and moving forward. The pilot tried several times to communicate with the object, but he received no reply. Air traffic control failed to detect any flying objects on radar. In two instances, the object ejected some type of gas or liquid with high thermal tracking. Captured on video, you can see a massive plume of material trailing behind the object. Moments later, a second ejection of the unspecified discharge. The flying object was visible for about 10 minutes before disappearing into the clouds without a trace. What could it be? Was it a UFO? Air Force photo analysts confirmed that the three-dimensional object was real, with volume and showcased control in its movements. They established that there was no evidence of hoaxing or alteration of the video by any computer application in the editing and processing of the images. Officials also ruled out a bird or flying insect, a drone, parachute, or a hang glider. After an extensive study, the Committee for the Study of Anomalous Aerial Phenomena agreed it had all the characteristics to be classified as an unidentified aerial phenomenon. For FoxNews.com, I'm Rob Demetrius.
These videos come from very reliable sources, and even the people trained to identify aircrafts didn't know what they were. In 2010, this video was taken in New York. It shows several UFOs dancing across the sky in unusual ways. I'm also going to show you some other video proof from independent sources, not as reliable, but still have the possibility of being real.
Everybody looking at it.
So what is it? What we're looking at? Balloons? Who has binoculars? Can I see them? 'Cause I can't see. Did you get a close-up? They're looking for aliens, they said. It's a spaceship. A group of them. I saw them when they disappeared. I don't have binoculars.
Are they strobing or anything on the lights?
They were together and now like they separated. They're flying away from each other. These three over here were like
Did you film it this morning? This morning was crazy. Yeah.
There's 5 of them. 5, 6, 7. 5, 6. Look, down there. It's 5 right there, and there's 1 more down there. I have no idea.
I see one all the way up above too. See it?
I don't know.
That's what we'll hear tonight. It's a weather balloon. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Who has a Zoom? We're trying to find out if this is spaceship.
And there was some lady crossing on 21st Street. She said a circle, a square, and a triangle. And she said it was like a chain link.
That's fucking branched off into two, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my god! That's branched off into two. That was one, now it's two. Fireworks don't do that, or flares. What is that? They don't do that. That was one, wasn't it? If that joins up as a whole one again, I'm going to be freaked out. It's going together. Look at it. What the hell is it? That's being controlled. That is bizarre. Look at that. The other one's disappearing, look. See it? It's disappeared. I better come back though. Hey? That's fireworks.
What's that?
Yeah, but fireworks don't act like that. Do they?
Not for that long.
What the? That's bizarre.
Whatever it is, I want one.
Yeah. That's really some special fireworks. That's bizarre. But it looks like it's flying around though, under control. Look, it's come back, the other one. Fireworks don't act like that. That's like... They don't go down and up. They don't go down and up. Do they? Look, the other one, I can see them are flashing. Let's see it. Did you see it then? It's flashing up there. Fireworks don't stop and then just stand still. There it is. You can still see that little white light. You see it? Shit. That's going horizontal. Just vanished.
The other one, little dot's still there.
It's still there, the little dot. That's bizarre. Oh, that's the no. That can't happen. It can't just stop and then do that again. Can it? There's something weird about that. That's bizarre. That is bizarre. Don't get it. Don't get it. That's weird.
My next statement's gonna be that back in the 1970s, we sent out a message into space containing a bunch of biological stuff about us and where we were in the galaxy and a bunch of other information. But we actually got a response back in a crop circle. It would be too hard for a human to make overnight to be made by us. That's what I'm trying to say. It kind of proves my suspicions, so I'll go ahead and show you guys the photo of what the crop circle was trying to show us. So here's the image. The left image is gonna be what we sent, the right image is what we received. So if you go to the very bottom of the left image where you see the dots that represent our solar system, you can see that there's one dot risen. That would be Earth, because that signifies that we live on Earth. So if we look at the right image in the same location, you see that there are 6 dots rose, meaning they live on 3 different planets. But in my view, it's a bit different. So there's the hollow moon theory, which I'm gonna get into in a bit later. But that's why Earth is raised. They actually live in the moon. But then Mars is raised because they live on Mars. Then there's 4 dots instead of Jupiter, which means they live on the moons of Jupiter. Another thing that I thought was kind of cool is it actually shows us their average height, 3 feet 4 inches, and then their population at 12.7 billion, which is quite a lot of aliens. Now I'm gonna go ahead and let the video play.
But in 2001, suddenly the media paid some interest, because then something appeared that was almost impossible to overlook. Right behind me is Britain's largest radio telescope, the Chilbolton Observatory. And here it was that the greatest sensation in the crop circle history was to appear in the fields right in front of the telescope. On the morning of 14th of August 2001, a formation was discovered which was different from any other previously seen. From the ground it looked like a tangled mess, wisps of crops spread around in no system. However, in the evening with growing shadows, a picture appeared, unmistakably that of a face. That picture represented a whole new technique, a screen technique, the same that's used for printing a picture on paper. 3 days later, the face was joined by something that looked like a data strip. Rows of counters made out of standing and flattened crop. But soon an astonishing similarity is discovered. In 1974, the astronomer Carl Sagan composed a message that NASA sent into space from the Arecibo telescope in Puerto Rico. Binary figures which constituted a graphic code presenting key factors about humans and the planet we live on. 27 years later, an identical pattern appears in a crop field right in front of a similar radio telescope. However, on closer inspection, it seemed to show that the code contained some fundamental differences. Sagan's message explained our calculation system, the dominant chemical substances within the elements that create life on Earth, about our DNA code, humans' height and quantity, and that we live on the 3rd planet in our solar system, and lastly, a sketch of our radio telescope. The message received described the same calculation system, but that silicon is most dominant in life forms in contrast to carbon. The drawing also clearly shows a humanoid figure with large head in relation to its body. It's also explained that they have an extra string in their DNA, are approximately 4 feet tall, inhabit the 3rd, 4th and 5th planets in their solar system, and have a population of around 21.3 billion. Underneath, the telescope has been replaced by something more complex. 1 year earlier, a strange crop circle had appeared in the same place. Is this the same illustration as in the sender's code? Is this the correspondence radio telescope? If this is not an extremely clever and well-calculated joke conducted by humans, is it a serious response from an alien civilization? The Chilbolton crop formations really gave new life to the speculations of who is behind this. Is it aliens? Where do they come from? And what is their purpose of this type of communication? The following year, very nearly on the same day, a new picture appears that gives new force to the alien theory, this time in Crabwood, near the town of Winchester in Hampshire. Once again we see a face, but this time there is an unmistakable resemblance to something extraterrestrial. The picture also contains a print, somewhat similar to that of a CD, with something that appears to be a coded message. This formation also has a new type of design, this time with horizontal line patterns of variable thickness, similar to that of a TV picture. The message on the disc is similar to a spiral band built up of many boxes. But data expert Paul Weige manages to decipher the message.
And I had to enlarge the disk quite substantially on the computer and run some image analysis over it to make it clear so that I could see what was a standing tuft and what was flattened. And while I was doing this, I noticed that every so often there was almost a mistake in the diagram. It was like there was a tuft, where the little square tuft, it had done sort of half size. I thought that was a bit odd, and it seemed fairly regular. I was going round, and I sort of counted up, and it was sort of literally every sort of 8 bytes or whatever. And I thought, oh, 8 bytes, and you know, from the computer side, is obviously some sort of binary code. So then I did the straightforward thing. I just converted it into ASCII, which is the standard sort of computer language that you encode the alphabet in. And of course I then started to get words forming out, and I thought, oh, you know, I'm getting somewhere here. So I then did the whole thing for the whole lot, and got this message.
The message is in English and reads as follows. Beware the bearers of false gifts and their broken promises. Much pain, but still time. There is good out there. We oppose deception. Conduit closing. Many have been surprised by this message. Are there aliens with such faces that we should be aware of? Or is this a picture of the sender? Does this indicate the start of actual close contact with neighbors in the universe?
My own, and this is only a hypothesis, belief about this, is that there's an effort of the extraterrestrials are gradually trying to communicate with us. A very slow process, giving us a lot of time to digest the fact that we may not be alone here.
The next part of this theory is going to be called the hollow moon theory. And, well, basically, that means the moon is an artificial object, it is hollow, and it could be used as kind of like a satellite, and actually alien beings can live inside it. So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys watch this video real quick, and then I'll continue to my next and final point.
Scientists said, let's separate the lunar module and have it impact the moon just at the right distance away from this seismometer that they put there, and we'll measure how it vibrates, and that'll tell us what's going on in the center of the moon.
Traveling at almost 3,800 miles per hour, the used vehicle slams into the moon's surface, creating a 30-foot wide crater and a moonquake. The results recorded on the seismic sensors astonished NASA scientists.
When they saw them on the seismic record, it was ringing like a bell. It just wouldn't stop.
This, of course, set off a search to try to find an explanation for what this big difference between what we see on Earth, where the earthquakes only last for a few minutes, and on the moon, where they go on for hours and hours.
Scientists who were willing to think outside the box said, hey, that's hollow. We have a hollow moon. Once you go down the path of a hollow moon, everything is on the table.
So if the moon were hollow, what would that mean? Well, obviously it's not a naturally occurring phenomenon, so it's got to be artificial. Somebody put it there, someone built it.
Last but not least, have you guys noticed that over the years that aliens went from being bad to good, sorta? Such as shows like American Dad, Rick and Morty, Futurama, compared to movies kind of like Aliens and all those other movies. I don't really watch them, but I know there were a lot more than there are compared to what we have today.
We're dealing with something not only that could be potentially alien, but that has the ability to communicate with itself and transform in a moment's notice.
I got one more thing to read through. It's a bit of an article. So basically, this hacker hacked NASA and got access to a bunch of pictures that NASA had hidden away. So I'm gonna go ahead and read this and you guys decide what you think it is. A NASA photographic expert said that there was a Building 8 at Johns Space Center where they regularly airbrushed out images of UFOs from the high-resolution satellite imaging. I logged on to NASA and was able to access this department. They had huge high-resolution images stored in their picture files. They had filtered and unfiltered or processed and unprocessed files. My dial-up 5.6K connection was very slow trying to download one of these picture files, and this was happening. I had the remote control of their desktop, and by adjusting it to 4-bit color and low screen resolution, I was able to briefly see one of these pictures. It was a silvery cigar-shaped object with geodesic spheres on either side. There was no visible seams or riveting. There was no reference to the size of the object, and picture was taken presumably by a satellite looking down on it. The object didn't look man-made or anything like what we have created because I was using Java application. I could only get a screenshot of the picture. It did not go into my temporary internet files. At my crowning moment, someone at NASA discovered what I was doing and I was disconnected. I also got access to Excel spreadsheets. One was titled Non-Terrestrial Officers. It contained names and ranks of U.S. Air Force personnel who are not registered anywhere else. It also contained information about ship-to-ship transfers, but I've never seen names of these ships noted anywhere else. So that's basically what I thought was interesting. I mean, if he had today's internet connection, he might have been able to get some files, but sucks that he wasn't able to. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you did and subscribe if you made it all the way through. And thank you for listening to my crazy nonsense. And shout out to my sister because she wanted me to make this. So yeah, peace.